Have you ever witnessed a moment that only people who have been through too much can truly recognize? It happens quietly. Someone finally sits down on a bed, on a bus, on the floor of a bathroom. Not because they're physically tired, but because something inside them just gives way. It's not a loud collapse, not a breakdown that draws attention. It's a soft, inward folding, like a bridge that's carried more weight than it was ever built to hold. And if you've experienced it, you know this feeling. The heart doesn't scream when it happens. It whispers, "I can't hold all of this at once." People who have been through too much understand this moment instinctively. The strange part is, you rarely realize you've become one of them until life forces you to notice. Someone asks, "Why are you so calm about things that should bother you?" And you don't know how to explain that it isn't calm. It isn't peace. It's numbness. It's the quiet stillness that forms when the mind has been stretched beyond its limits. When emotions have run too many marathons without rest, mows. People think resilience looks like strength. But for those who've endured too much, resilience feels like survival, something you did because there was no alternative. Because of that, you carry a presence others can feel but can't quite name. A softness in the way you listen, and a pause before you speak. But if they could step inside your mind, even for a moment, they would realize this maturity wasn't earned. It was forced. Some people grow because they are nurtured. Others grow because life refuses to be gentle with them. When someone carries emotional weight for too long, the nervous system adapts. Not elegantly, but desperately. Psychologists call this emotional overcompensation. The brain becomes hyper-aware. It constantly scans for danger, braces for impact, and anticipates loss even when everything is fine. That's why you overthink, why you notice subtle shifts in tone. Or you prepare for problems that haven't even happened yet. Your mind learned that uncertainty was unsafe, so it built defenses you never consciously chose. Even after you heal, traces of those defenses remain, like old foundations beneath a renovated building. They step around conflict the way others step around broken glass. They know how to calm others while their own heart is trembling. How to make themselves smaller when attention feels unsafe. How to recover quickly because falling apart was never an option. These aren't just personality traits. They are survival patterns, adaptations wired deep inside from past experiences. Research shows that prolonged emotional stress actually recalibrates the brain. It becomes more sensitive to threats, more reactive to subtle cues, and more attuned to patterns that others miss. People might call it intuition, but often, it's pattern recognition learned through sheer necessity. And yet, there is an incredible tenderness in people who have been through too much. A gentleness that comes from knowing pain intimately, not as a theory, but as a lived experience. Softness is often mistaken for weakness, but true softness doesn't come from an easy life. It comes from the difficult ones. This empathy creates a strange contrast. You become the person who comforts everyone, even though no one ever truly comforted you. You give warmth because you've lived through the cold. You hold space for others because you know what it's like to have none. But beneath that empathy lives a deep exhaustion. Not the kind that sleep can fix. It's the kind that makes you retreat quietly into yourself. You become someone who can carry everything for everyone else, except for yourself. Someone who helps easily, but asks for nothing in return. Someone who gives clarity while living with their own unanswered questions. It's not because you don't trust others, but because relying on someone once felt unpredictable. And to a nervous system shaped by instability, Unpredictability feels dangerous. What others call independence is often just protection. A shield. Well, see someone composed and capable. But inside lives someone sensitive, tired, and quietly overwhelmed. This creates an emotional duality. You can be open yet guarded, caring yet detached, present yet distant, hopeful yet cautious. You don't avoid vulnerability because you dislike it. You avoid it because, in the past, vulnerability came with painful consequences. So you open up slowly, carefully, in layers, too. And here's the truth that no one ever tells you. Nothing about you is broken. Your caution makes sense. Your depth makes sense. Reactions are reasonable responses to unreasonable circumstances. Despite everything, there is something profoundly beautiful about people like you. You love quietly, but deeply. You notice the small kindnesses. You value sincerity over performance. You cherish peace because you remember chaos. You continue, not because you are unbreakable, but because you've already been broken and you've learned how to stand back up. You carry a wisdom that comes from surviving your own inner battles, an awareness forged without a map, and a perspective earned through deep reflection. Underneath it all, though, life's grief. Grief for the easier versions of yourself you could have been, for the life that could have been gentler. Ned, you keep growing, slowly and quietly. You learn boundaries. You learn self-trust. You learn to separate your instincts from your trauma. You are not fragile. You are adaptive, insightful, and emotionally complex in a world that often prefers simplicity. Your mind is not a battlefield. It is a testament to your resilience. They transform it. They turn pain into perspective. And in doing so, they become a light for others. Not because they shine loudly, but because they understand the darkness. You didn't just go through too much, you grew through it. And that growth, even when it came from pain, is now your quiet power. Thank you for listening.